So, কিছু facts Tower Hamlets. So Tower Hamlets, my background হইলে কি জানে আমি 2018 সালে কাউন্সিলর আসলাম Tower Hamlets Myland বোর্ডে।
আচ্ছা।
2022 সালে I stood down.
মাশাআল্লাহ।
So প্রায় 60 বছর experience inside.
Mashallah.
But I've been living in Tower Hamlets for 20 years. So on 20 years. Both my children were born in Tower Hamlets. They went to schools in Tower Hamlets. So Tower Hamlets is কিছু facts আছে জানেন Tower Hamlets has the largest Muslim community in all of Western Europe, UK. Oldest as well, probably 400 years continuous. East India Company থাকেন শুরু হয়েছে জানে তার হেডকোয়ার্টার্স আছে সিটি অফ লন্ডন তার ওয়ারহাউসেস আছে ইস্ট লন্ডনে আর প্রায় আমরা মানুষ আইতা সো that's the relationship between say Tower Hamlets Muslim community and the Bangladeshi Muslim community 400 years. So Tower Hamlets are factually given a majority community is Muslim community faith-wise. Largest ethnic community is Bangladeshi. The pride, the thin bag or ek bag Bangladeshi. Musliman hishabe 2 lakh you could say 10 bag or 6 bag Musliman. So that's the facts. But কিছু facts যেটা আমরা টেলিভিশনে আলোচনা হয় না এগুলি দেনে যে জায়গা প্রায় 2 lakh 90% of the children are Bangladeshi or Muslim. All the decisions in the schools, or major decisions in terms of their education, from head teacher to senior management, is non-Bangladeshi, non-Muslim. Even if you look at the board of governors, majority non-Muslim, non-Bangladeshi. And you can say, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that is if you look at the outcomes. So প্রত্যেক বছর during exam time আমরা television program channels হোক না বাংলা টিভি হোক তারা একটা program করবা দেনে how wonderful আমরা পুরো টাইমতে how wonderful they're doing in terms of their education. But that's just half the picture because you're just showing the success stories. But what the other half is not showing is an education system that's failing half of our children. For every 2 children that go into our education system in Tower Hamlets, one is being served, one is not being served. And the outcome will be after the Thames Magistrate local court gele prior protecting Bethnal Green station tahin Ashamile Anoy. আর আপনি যদি লিস্ট করেন প্রায় আমরা পুরো টাইম Bangladeshi, Muslim, young, and you could see how they've been failed because when they ask basic questions about nationality, they don't even know what that is. We had the discussion as a councillor as well, where they have something called the Tower Hamlets Educational Partnership, where I propose that we stop the funding until they have Bangladeshis on the board. They had one Bangladeshi who was a caretaker. What does a caretaker know about education? Just to make that up. And you see that there's a board of governors, etc. There's a lack of representation, and the reason why representation is important because there's no empathy. You don't understand what the children are going through. You don't understand their background, and we need to work with the background of the children. And I'll give an example why that is important. So I worked on a campaign called the Community Language Campaign Service, Bangla Teaching in Tower Hamlets. So one of the Bangla teachers narrated a story to me why it is important to learn Bangla and to know your background. So there was a father, it was actually in South London, they used to run a school in South London, and the father narrated a story. One day his son came back from primary school and told him that he learnt in school that Bangladesh is a backward country that Bangladeshis or Muslims are backward. So when the father heard that, the next day he didn't take his son to school. He didn't take it. So obviously it's illegal not to send your children to school. You could be taken to court. So the next day the head teacher had a meeting with the father, with the son, asking him why didn't he come back to school. So the father he asked his son to explain where they were, and then the son said that his father took him around various landmarks in London, including to see the crown jewel, and he told him where that came from. That came from Bangladesh and the Indian subcontinent, and the son said, you told us that we are a poor, backward country, but we're not. It's a lie, because all of this you got from us. So that shows the importance of perspectives. Okay. And if you see people as backward, if you see people as inferior, then you will treat them that way, and then the outcome will be that.
Absolutely. Okay, sorry.
So that's what it is. So the issues that affect the Muslim community, the Bangladeshi community, affect other communities that are seeking justice as well. And we need to not just be concerned about our community, but concerned about everybody who's in the same situation as us. Because if we provide a solution for our community, that could be replicated in other communities. But it's a simple demand. That's why I'm saying that. It's a simple demand that we want our schools' leadership to reflect our community. Who makes a decision in the school? The senior leadership team, the head teachers, and the board of governors. And it's a simple audit we can do, and we just need to put that demand in. Are you saying that we're backward? Are you saying we can't read or write? Are you saying that we're not lawyers, we're not accountants, we don't run businesses? Are you saying we can't run a school budget? There's so many teachers. Are you saying none of them are good enough to be a head teacher? So what is it? What is it that actually, why isn't it not happening?
In Tower Hamlets, in some of the schools that the caller discussed earlier, what percentage from these schools would you say the teachers are Bangladeshis?
If you look at the head teachers in the secondary schools, not a single one is Bangladeshi.
Not a single one across Tower Hamlets. Okay, and what about in terms of senior management or classroom teachers? What percentage is there?
If 90% of the children are Muslim, then you would expect that to be reflected in the senior management team. It's the opposite. You get it? If it does happen. So that speaks volume. And we need to ask the question, why is it not happening? We didn't suddenly just fall out of the sky. We've been around for 40 years or more, 400 years if you look at the history book. So why isn't that institutions that we pay money for through our taxes, why are they failing our children? Because if you look at the outcomes, I'm not talking about success stories, let's look at the people who are not succeeding, and institutions that don't reflect our community. You're paying for it, we demand it, and we didn't come out of the sky.
And so you've raised this is happening.
I personally think that there is a subconscious bias. It could be conscious or unwittingly, where people see Muslims as backward.
Right.
So I think Edward Said talked about Orientalism. He wrote a book about it, where to justify, it came out of colonialism, where to justify bad treatment towards Muslims, you perceive them to be backwards. So, and it's a self-justifying loop. We're treating them badly because they're backward. So it justifies your action. And you perceive them to be backward.
And where do you think this comes from?
I think that's a hangover from that. Because if you have a genuine question, there's fear, suspicion of Muslims. That's what Islamophobia is. Believing an irrational fear of Muslims. That's what it is.
Can I-
And if you have genuine discussions, we'll just listen in the conversations. You see that there's this fear of our community, and they feel like they should, the institutions should not be, given to members of our community, if in terms of leadership, etc. It's an irrational fear, and we need to address that. Say, look, it's illegal. A lot of councils have passed the Islamophobia definition, and therefore it looks like Islamophobia is at play. I'm not saying there is, but we should say it looks like it. Let's go and investigate.
Okay.
Are you not recruiting Muslim teachers into senior team because you fear that they have another agenda? Is that what it is? Let's have a discussion. Let's look into it. Why aren't they not coming through? Why are they not being promoted? Why are they not being interviewed? Why, etc.
তোমরা কিন্তু একটা bias create করছো.
So if someone sees Muslims backward amongst their staff, then how do you think they're going to see children? And how do they, if they treat their staff badly, not giving them promotion, not supporting them, how do you think they're going to treat the children?